Hey guys, how are you? In an era where the first-person shooter genre has been dominated by a few franchises, new titles willing to compete for that space emerge. Next, I bring a list of 10 new war games that come to the market with the aim of innovating and challenging the reign of Call of Duty. I'm Matthew, and we start the list with Battlefield 6, a game scheduled for release on October 10th and bets on a total war experience, with global maps and classic franchise modes. The title returns with the traditional class system, including Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon, each with its own weapons and abilities. Among the gameplay news, there are mechanics such as the ability to drag wounded teammates to safety before reviving them, and the possibility of resting weapons on surfaces to reduce recoil. From a technical point of view, the game seems to focus on an improved destruction system, allowing players to demolish parts of the scenarios to create new routes or flank enemies. The promise is of environments with many details, all destructible, not just in predefined points. The movement and gameplay with weapons have been rethought, which seeks a more fluid and dynamic action. The title also features a new single-player campaign narrative set in 2027. The multiplayer in Battlefield 6 brings back familiar modes such as Conquest, Breakthrough, and Rush, in addition to introducing a new mode called Escalation. In this mode, two teams fight to capture and control strategic points, with the number of points decreasing as the confrontation progresses, intensifying the battle.
Hostile forces are attacking Charlie. Attack support on them. Objective Charlie has been seized by hostiles. Our troops are attacking Echo.
The game Projekt Z Beyond Order is a cooperative zombie FPS developed by 314 Arts, which takes place during World War II on a secret German island. The plot focuses on Projekt Z, a secret Nazi program with the objective of turning zombies into weapons to change the course of the war. Players assume the role of one of 4 survivors, each with distinct skills and roles, who must work together to survive. The game seeks to offer an experience focused on cooperation, facing hordes of undead and discovering the secrets of the island. The gameplay is built around a first-person shooting core, but also incorporates RPG elements. Players have the possibility to evolve their characters through individual skill trees. An item crafting and weapon customization system is central, allowing players to improve their arsenal. For this, it is necessary to collect resources and blueprints during missions and in the island's free exploration mode. The survivor's hideout functions as a base, where it is possible to build and improve stores, structures, and equipment. Regarding the technical aspects, the game is an ambitious project for 314 Arts, a smaller German studio. The proposal to set the game on an island during World War II, with the theme of zombies, is a differentiator. Online cooperative gameplay for up to 4 players is one of the main points. In addition to the main missions that tell the story, the game also includes a free exploration mode and a system of side missions, which add content and encourage exploration. Glory to the Heroes is a first-person shooter game focused on multiplayer. The game is being developed by Black Matter, the same team behind Hell Let Loose. The gameplay is focused on large-scale combat, with 100 players on the field, divided into 2 teams of 50. The pace is slower, with a greater emphasis on strategy and team coordination than on individual reflexes. Communication is a central point of the game, encouraging players to work together to achieve objectives. Technically, the game uses the Unreal Engine 5, promising very detailed environments and character models. Black Matter seeks a high level of realism in several aspects, from the ballistics of weapons to the damage system, which can be quite lethal. Physics and scenario destruction are also present elements, allowing players to significantly alter the battlefield. The progression and class system offer different roles for players within the teams, such as commanders, squad leaders, riflemen, and medics. Each class has its own equipment and skills, encouraging tactical diversity. The game also includes vehicles and a defense construction system, adding more layers to the game's strategy.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Pay for their disease. Breathe just like a weed, spread into the streets. It's time to make them bleed. Cause we just want retribution. Let's go light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. Flip cards in the weak and harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.
Rolling Thunder Vietnam, a first-person shooter game set in the Vietnam War, is under development by Gravelight. Although the full release is scheduled for 2026, a playable demo is already available. The game is based on the premise of a tactical FPS, focused on large-scale infantry and vehicle battles, with an emphasis on communication and teamwork. The proposal is to deliver a more realistic experience, comparable to other military combat simulators. From a technical point of view, the game is built on Unreal Engine 5. This choice of graphics engine allows for the implementation of more detailed game mechanics and a more up-to-date look. The gameplay seeks to more accurately simulate the combat of the time. The community has noted that enemies are shot down with a few shots, which intensifies the need for caution and positioning. In addition, the simulation of explosive fragments and the sound of combat were aspects that received attention from the developers, seeking a more immersive and violent environment. The scope of the game includes battles on land, air, and sea, with a variety of vehicles such as tanks, helicopters, boats, and jets. One technical aspect that stands out is the inclusion of crewed helicopters, such as the AH-1G Cobra, where the interaction between pilot and gunner is necessary to operate the aircraft effectively. The game also plans to introduce specific weapons such as heat-guided missiles and missile launcher systems, which require skill to master. The intention is that each player's decision affects the outcome of the matches. Warfare Ultimatum stands out for its hybrid approach, combining elements of first-person shooters and real-time strategy games. The game offers large-scale battles that span multiple scenarios, from the bottom of the sea to space. The central premise is that players can participate in intense 64-player confrontations, using a variety of aerial, land, and sea vehicles, or delve into a more complex game mode focused on diplomacy and strategy. The technical aspect of the game revolves around this fusion of genres. In FPS mode, the player experiences direct combat, using the first-person perspective to control soldiers and vehicles. In RTS mode, the game's view expands to a strategic perspective, where large-scale decisions such as resource management and military operations define the course of the conflict. This duality of gameplay requires the player to master both individual combat mechanics and the macro management of a war. The game's dynamic is influenced by a layer of diplomacy and intrigue. Players can participate in organized operations, but also need to deal with the possibility of sabotage and betrayal. This adds an element of unpredictability to the game environment, where alliances can fall apart and strategies can change quickly. The complexity of these social interactions is a central point for the development of an immersive and tactical experience. Mythic Forest Warden is an action game developed by Beast Games and published by Console Labs. The central premise of the game takes place during World War II, placing players in the role of a pagan forest deity. The objective is to protect nature from Nazi invaders, who seek to capture one of the 4 parts of the Guardian's body to gain power. The gameplay combines elements of close combat with the use of weapons and magical abilities. The protagonist, being a forest deity, can use his claws and brute force, but also has access to human weapons like the MP40 and the MG42. The combat system also includes spells such as a fireball, a ground impact attack, and a wooden shield. The game dynamics seek a balance between the character's brute force and mystical abilities. The game stands out for its setting, combining a historical scenario with fantasy elements. The forest is not just a map, but a central part of the gameplay and narrative. The Nazis, knowing the Guardian's weak point, try to burn trees and kill animals to destabilize him, which adds an environmental protection component to the player's mission. The design of the main character, who controls 4 bodies with different heads, is an interesting technical aspect, but the details of how this is integrated into the gameplay are not yet entirely clear.
Destroy their machines. Feed yourself.
The game PVKK is an action and adventure title that promises an intense experience, mixing brutal combat mechanics with an engaging narrative. Developed by Dark Studios, the game is set in a post-apocalyptic world where civilization has been devastated by an unknown cataclysm. Players take on the role of Kayal, a survivor who seeks answers about the end of the world and the origin of a mysterious force called Vik, which seems to be responsible for the destruction of the Earth. In PVKK, the elements of war are one of the fundamental pillars of the gameplay and narrative, bringing a mix of military strategies and visceral combat. The game takes place in a devastated world where factions and armies compete for control of the remaining resources and for survival. Conflict is a constant, and the player is constantly forced to make tactical decisions that can alter the course of the war. One of the most striking features is guerrilla warfare. In many areas of the game, you will need to use the terrain to your advantage, ambushing enemies or infiltrating heavily guarded areas. The use of stealth tactics, such as quick attacks and strategic retreats, will be essential to staying alive, especially in areas dominated by powerful military factions. This element of more unpredictable warfare will require players to think carefully about every move, considering the consequences of their actions, as the environment is hostile and any mistake can be fatal. KVLT from Evil Guinea Pig is a single-player first-person shooter that promises a visceral and brutal experience, inspired by classic 90s shooters. The gameplay focuses on level exploration and fast-paced combat, with a dark and violent atmosphere. The game is set in 1945, during the final moments of World War II, where desperate Nazi forces resort to occult and supernatural practices to reverse the course of the war. You take on the role of Lazar, a 500-year-old occultist and ruthless mercenary. In search of magical artifacts of incalculable power, Lazar follows a trail of arcane knowledge lost in history, eliminating anyone who dares to cross his path. The narrative mixes historical elements of World War II with the cosmic horror of the Cthulhu mythos, creating a unique and disturbing setting. The plot revolves around a secret Nazi task force, known as Fenrir, which seeks to recover technologies and knowledge from ancient civilizations to change the course of the war. The game features a variety of weapons and spells, allowing for different combat approaches. The demo already released includes a complete level, 3 weapons, 2 spells, and 5 enemies. Evil Guinea Pig highlights the dark world building and visceral gameplay as the studio's hallmarks. The final version of the game promises an even more complete and immersive experience, with more levels, weapons, enemies, and lore elements. The game is already available for Windows and is under development for other platforms. Sherman Commander, developed by Iron Wolf Studio, is a game that focuses on tank simulation during World War II. The gameplay puts the player in the role of a commander of a platoon of Sherman tanks, with the objective of coordinating the actions of his crew and other allied units. The game seeks to offer a perspective focused on tactical realism, emphasizing communication and planning to overcome the challenges of the armored combat of the time. The game's proposal is based on a detailed simulation, where the control of a tank is treated as a complex operation that requires the effort of the entire crew. The player can give specific orders to each team member, such as the driver, gunner, and loader, or use a tactical map for a broader coordination of the platoon. The combat, according to the information released, involves fire and maneuver tactics, with an AI system that tries to flank and pressure the player, making the battles more challenging. The battle scenarios are designed to replicate the best-known war theaters of the conflict. Information was released about the inclusion of Normandy, with its landscape composed of hills, forests, and the famous hedgerows. These environmental elements do not only serve as decoration, but also as obstacles that influence tactics, limiting visibility, and directing troops to points of confrontation. The destruction of fences and walls, for example, can open up new routes for the infantry.
We gotta push forward. Burke, Miller, move up to the square.
Understood.
Moving out.
Mitchell, let's get going.
Sure thing, Sarge.
Boy, am I glad to see you! Where the hell have you been?
God damn it! Burke, Miller, abort! We've got an enemy tank ahead, firing from an unknown position. Mitchell's gone. Hold back and await further orders.
Roger that.
Go! Clear the building and keep an eye out for that tank.
On it! Let's move it, people! We got eyes on your tank. It's a f***ing Panther. It's sitting in a building near the northeast corner of the square. I can also see crowd infantry converging on your right flank. So whatever you want to do it fast.
Wolfenstein III is the long-awaited final chapter of the Wolfenstein series' rebooted trilogy, developed by Machine Games and published by Bethesda Softworks. The series, known for its intense narrative and first-person action, follows protagonist William Blazkowicz in an alternate universe where the Nazis won World War II. The game was confirmed in 2017 by Jerk Gustafsson of Machine Games during the E3 Coliseum, with production depending on the success of Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus, which received positive reviews. Wolfenstein III will be set after the events of Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus and Wolfenstein Youngblood, continuing Blazkowicz's fight against the Nazi regime. The narrative promises to explore science fiction elements and alternative themes, with an emphasis on the possible appearance of Mecha Hitler, as mentioned by creative director Jens Matthijs. Rumors point to the inclusion of the Sun Gun, a legendary weapon in the game's universe, and a possible experimentation with the gameplay format, according to designer Andreas Øyerfors. The series is known for balancing eccentric humor, intense violence, and an emotional narrative, which should be maintained. As a first-person shooter, Wolfenstein III should follow the formula of its predecessors, combining frantic combat with narrative and exploration elements. Well, that was the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and until next time.
Brothers and sisters of the United States of America, tonight, we, the free people of the resistance, ask you to become one of us. Tonight, we, the free people of the resistance, ask, did you forget? They fucked with the wrong country.
Come and fucking get me.
And if tonight we see you on the streets with a knife, or just your clenched fist fighting the powers that be, then you are one of us. Tonight, they burn.